Dreams. We're all born with them. Dreams of adventure, of finding a sense of purpose, meaning, of reaching our full potential. And wherever your dreams take you, your journey starts with UAC.
I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. Hello and welcome to Let's Chat. We're here today to talk to our university panellists about studying a social science or arts degree. Today on our panel, we have from the University of Sydney, Associate Professor Kelly Freebody, Associate Dean, Undergraduate Programs, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. Welcome.
Thank you.
We also have from Macquarie University, Associate Professor Panos Vlachopoulos, Associate Dean, Quality and Standards, Faculty of Arts. Welcome to you as well.
Thank you, Trudy. We
also have Dr. Linda Evans, Associate Professor, Department of History and Archaeology. We also have from UTS, Christina Ho, Associate Professor and Discipline Coordinator, Social and Political Science. And we have from the University of Newcastle, Hamish Ford, Senior Lecturer, School of Humanities and Social Sciences. Welcome to you all. Thank you very much for joining us to relay to our audience some information about social sciences and arts. I'm going to, first of all, go to Christina. Christina, could you please tell us a little bit about your uni and the location that you are?
Okay, thanks, Trudy. Hi, everyone. The University of Technology, Sydney is located right smack bang in the middle of the Sydney city near Central Station. It is located on Broadway and there are various buildings around. It's a very urban campus and so it's got everything in the CBD right next to Chinatown, so there's lots of good food.
That sounds great. And I know our students love food, so that's really good to know. I'll go to you, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. I'm coming to you from the University of Sydney today and our Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, where our Arts and Social Sciences degrees take place, are on the Camperdown campus, which for anyone that doesn't know Sydney very well is in the inner west, quite close to the city.
Fantastic, thank you. And Linda from Macquarie?
Yes, well, we're located a bit further out than the other two universities, in North Ryde, right beside the new metro train line. And I'm speaking to you from our new arts precinct at Macquarie University, where we have quite a lovely campus surrounded by parklands and some very new building projects that have just been completed to offer fantastic services to our students. So it's a nice place to work.
Lovely, and it is a lovely campus. Hamish, can you tell us, please, about your uni and where you're located?
Certainly. So I'm at the University of Newcastle, which is about 2 hours drive, north of Sydney. It's like a miniature version of Sydney, so nestled right on the coast with lovely beaches, but very short commute times compared to our southern capital. And we're a fairly traditional university that was converted from a college or a TAFE kind of institution in the 1960s.
Thank you for that. I'm going to now go to Panos. Panos, can you tell me what a social science degree is? What does that involve? What do students study within a social science degree?
Thanks, Trudy. I think social science and arts, I will bring both together because a lot of the degrees, they cover both areas. So students that they are interested in arts and social science, they are interested primarily in studying something around humans, either human activity, civilizations, cultures, languages, or policies, the ways that we interact as society, the way that we create, different aspects of the society. It involves having a passion about humanities, having a passion about who we are and what we can become. And most of these degrees, they will offer diversity in the areas of studies. So they will have what we call a core disciplinary direction. Normally we call it a major or something like that. And then it will offer enough flexibility for students to mix and match their passion with also other skills and other professional expectations. So, and you would expect that every university will have synonymous types of degrees. For example, the Bachelor of Arts is very well known across all the universities, or a Bachelor of Social Science, but also there are more bespoke degrees in each of these areas.
Okay. Kelly, could you tell me what kind of bespoke areas of study there is that Panos was talking of?
Yes, definitely. I mean, every university will offer different sorts of bespoke programs, I guess, depending on the expertise and the research areas of the staff at the university and the university specializations. At the University of Sydney, we have our flagship Bachelor of Arts program. And like many, you have a core major study in arts or humanities or social sciences. But then you can take a second major or a minor or elective studies in a really broad range of units. At Sydney, we have what's called Table S, which means students, once they've done their major in the humanities or social sciences, they could do a second major anywhere in the university in business and science, anything that they want. And other universities might do similar things. We have also bespoke programs in politics and international relations. So we have a Bachelor of Arts, Politics and International Relations, a Bachelor of Arts, International and Global Studies, a Bachelor of Arts in Languages and Translation, a Bachelor of Arts in Media and Communication, which are more sort of bespoke programs within the humanities and social sciences, and Bachelor of Social Work as well. So there are some of the ones that are on offer in Sydney, which have different entry requirements and follow different sorts of bespoke programming within, still bringing in this idea of breadth study across elective spaces and across other second majors.
Okay. Christina, I'm going to ask you, what, is there something specific at UTS that a student might focus on? Like, is there something that a lot of students like to study within that social science area at UTS?
Sure, yeah. At UTS, we don't have an actual Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Social Science. It's actually under the umbrella of Bachelor of Communication. So it has a bit more of a professional leaning. And within that degree, you can do a major in social and political sciences, which is what I teach. And so it's within a communication framework. And so, as Kelly was saying, you can also choose a minor course of study, a second major in any one of our other communication majors. And so we've got things like journalism, public communication, media arts production, creative writing. And so there's ways of mixing and matching your degree according to your interest that way.
Oh, okay, yes. I know at Macquarie, Linda, a lot of students look at your ancient history degree because it's quite, it's quite a bespoke sort of area of study. And I know that at your uni, you have that fantastic museum. Can you just give us a little bit of information about that?
Yes, and I should mention too, we actually have a brand new museum now, Trudy, with our new arts precinct. We now have the Macquarie University History Museum, which is a blending of what was our Australian History Museum and our Museum of Ancient Cultures. So I'd really encourage people to come along and take a look. But yes, our degree, Bachelor in Ancient History and Bachelor of Archaeology, are very popular with students. They're just people who are passionate about ancient history love it to death, and this is a place to definitely study it. I'm a product of it myself. I actually have a degree in Egyptology, and this is one of the few places in the country where you can study Egyptology. But of course, one might be saying, well, what are you going to do with a degree in ancient history? Well, as it turns out, we were able to, through studying the past, learn a number of different transferable skills that actually enable students to actually have a number of different career options in terms of heritage. So working in the cultural heritage sector, so museums, archives, galleries, and so on. And it turns out that, yes, you can study ancient history, you can study Egyptology and still have a fantastic career working in heritage. So yeah, I say I'm a product of it myself.
Fantastic. I know that, we get lots of questions about the ancient history degree here at UAC. So it's really interesting information. I'm going to go to you, Hamish. you know, a lot of people say, well, why would you do an arts or social science degree? You know, what kind of career are we going to get from that?
Mm.
Can you dispel some of those myths out there about studying these degrees?
Yes, they're myths that are perpetuated even by our own federal government, in fact, in terms of the recent funding changes. What's interesting is that it's well known, or it should be well known, should I say, that the research rather contradicts this perception. So the government's own research was leaked and showed that, in fact, humanities and social science graduates were more likely to be in work 3 years out of graduating. Now, I think the reason for this, again, should be fairly obvious, which is that these are very flexible degrees that don't just train you to do one particular thing. They provide you with a kind of a toolbox for this rapidly changing employment context in which all of our students will be living and working, including in jobs and careers that don't yet exist. So these two degrees that we're largely talking about here, the Bachelor of Arts and the Bachelor of Social Science, depending on how you slice them at the different institutions, I think on the one hand have a great tradition and history behind them, but on the other hand are the ultimate flexible, adaptable degrees for, you know, as the jargon would have it, the new knowledge economy.
Exactly. And my understanding is that, you know, within your arts degree, apart from maybe a major study in a particular area, you can then have a taster of other sort of disciplines, which would certainly, you know, go towards what you're saying, giving a student a little bit more well-roundedness in knowledge base in different areas of even business or so on.
I mean, these are the origins of these degrees, obviously, as they were called generalist degrees. You know, the Bachelor of Arts used to be seen as the sign of an educated person because you had sort of studied literature and philosophy and history and these kinds of things. So again, that's the tradition. But I think, to me, a BA is a bit like a railroad system in that it sort of peaked in the 19th century, it went a bit out of fashion perhaps in the 20th century, but now it's back. With a vengeance, or at least it should be, I think, in terms of the employment situation, but also the increasingly globalized culture in which we all live, where we can no longer afford to just live in our little bubbles, our little kind of boxes when it comes to culture as well as work.
Yeah, exactly. Kelly, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do actually. I think one of the great things about a Bachelor of Arts is that it actually, for want of a better word, it empowers students to create their own pathways, right? So because we have at Sydney, if you do a Bachelor of Arts, we have over 45 majors in our Table A of Bachelor of Arts that students can choose from, but then again, another 100 in the shared pool for their second major. And I imagine other universities have similar sorts of kind of ways of organising their degrees. It's one of the things I was just thinking, just as we were talking then, you know, I have a student that's really interested in working in NGOs in remote Australia, working for non-government organisations in remote Australia. She's doing a Bachelor of Arts majoring in Indigenous Studies, but she's doing a second major in project management. I have another student who's really passionate about environment and climate change and is doing a resource and agricultural economics major with us, who's doing environmental science as well as their second major. It gives power to students to really think about what they're interested in and where they want to be, and design the course in a way that suits them and to get them where they want to go. And whether that's for a job or whether that's just because it's their interest, I think that's one of the really powerful things about a Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah. Panos, would you say the same sort of thing, do you think?
I will absolutely agree. I think our main thing here is turn your passion into a profession. And that's, I think, what most of the BAs, they try to achieve. Interestingly enough, I mean, this year in the Bachelor of Arts, which is totally revamped from Macquarie, we thought we're going to actually compete for that Australian Financial Review Award for employability. And that's a Bachelor of Arts. And actually, we won that award on the basis of what the industry, the community, and the sector outside the university believes the value of Bachelor of Arts is. We have alumni, Judy, and I know most of the colleagues will agree that they work from every sector of the society. From government, actually government positions are occupied. I don't know whether it's positive or not, but government positions are occupied by BA graduates. Interestingly enough, you see now big companies, I'm talking about corporate companies, that they will hire, they will run talent recruitment targeted for humanities students. The reason is that we need people that can think. We need people that they can go out and provide a fresh perspective about the way that we are as humans. And the BAs, I think, in this country collectively, they're doing an excellent job.
Fantastic. it's really assuring, and I think it's really assuring to our audience to really understand what's involved and that there are career paths at the end of it, because they can, diversify within their degree and study their passions, which is great. It's really good. And especially for those parents who may be listening, to really understand that, students can get a lot out of an arts or social science degree. I'm just going to go to a little bit of a step. We've heard about the degree itself, but can any of you, and we'll go to Christina, entry into these degrees, of course, like anything, is based on ATAR or any adjustments. But do you have an early entry scheme that you know about? Schools recommendation schemes. Are these courses on offer through those schemes?
Trudy, at UTS, we have various mechanisms for getting into our social science major. If it's not through the traditional ATAR pathway, there's the UTS College, which is another pathway into UTS. And I suppose there's always the option of applying for a course with a lower ATAR if you don't quite make that cutoff, and then applying to transfer after 1 year. And then your first year uni results will be taken into consideration if you want to transfer. As I mentioned, there's a lot of different degrees within our Bachelor of Communication at UTS, and so they all have different ATAR cutoffs. Sometimes people will enroll in one and then transfer into another one that may be, more to their interests. So there are various pathways.
Yeah, and I feel that there are various pathways for all students getting into university. When we talk about admissions, we talk about the ATAR, but of course the ATAR is just the first step. If the student's ATAR doesn't get them to where they want to be, of course, there are pathways such as the university colleges, or even at TAFE, starting at TAFE and doing a course there, and then moving on to university afterwards. I think that's a fairly fair assumption that all institutions would say exactly the same thing. Of course, we do have early entry schemes like schools recommendation schemes, and many of these courses are available. Hamish, at the University of Newcastle, early entry schemes?
Yes, definitely. So we have a schools recommendation scheme. We have a Year 12 subject spotlight early offer program. So these are sorts of hybrid programs, if you like, where particularly gifted students sort of transition to university gradually. But the University of Newcastle also prides itself on equity. So we have all kinds of schemes in terms of getting people into university who perhaps don't have great HSC results or have not done their HSC for a long time, and those kinds of things. So if a student doesn't do particularly well in Year 12, that's doesn't rule out going to university in the slightest down the track. It's all really about interest, and we've got all kinds of bridging programs that will get them up to speed. Of course, getting back to our generalist degrees, many of the ways in which, say, for example, history and English are taught at high school, but also whole subject areas that we have in the BA and the BSOC here are not taught in the same way, or not taught at all at high school. So in many respects, students are really starting from scratch, in a sense, when they come to university. So we don't believe that somebody's life is set in stone when they're 18 years old, that's for sure.
No, fantastic. And we would say the same thing. The ATAR, it's there for university entry. However, it doesn't define them as a student for the rest of their life. So, there are many, many pathways in. Talking about school leavers, well, prior to school leaving, of course, students have to pick subjects for years 11 and 12. So, if I've got a Year 10 student and their parents listening to us today, what would you suggest to them when they're picking their subjects? Because, as we've heard, an arts and social science degree covers many different aspects of humanities. should they be studying just humanities at school or a wide variety of subjects? I'll go with you, Kelly.
Okay, so my suggestion to any students and parents listening, what you should study for your HSC is something that you care about and something that you're passionate about, things that you're good at, things that you like. As somebody who's been working at a university for a long time, as a program director and associate dean, students do well at university, any university, but not just arts, if they have good study skills, if they have good approaches to learning, and it is much, much easier to develop those if you enjoy and you're motivated by the things that you're learning, and nothing motivates like passion would be my, and I think that that's a really important thing to get across about students that are worried about their HSC choices. There are certain things, no doubt, if you are planning on doing economics, then potentially mathematics will help you. But at the University of Sydney in our Bachelor of Arts, there are no, besides the HR, there are no entry requirements in terms of HSC subjects. So you can really, really follow your passions, and you're more likely to do well, you're more likely to get a higher HR, and more likely to get into university.
Yeah, exactly our message as well. Linda, I would expect you would say the same sort of thing, yes?
Well, good heavens, every word that Kelly just said, I 100% agree with. I think that following your passion is the key to success, isn't it, really? If you're interested, then you're willing to give more of yourself to it. So, yeah, I would agree completely. I suppose in terms of just maybe a particular subject that perhaps students might want to particularly take a note of for coming into the humanities might be English. To have English as part of their background. But otherwise, no, it's passion number one. I agree.
Yeah, lucky English is the compulsory subject for years 11 and 12, so students have to complete English. And as I say, you've got to write a good essay or report when you get into uni, so keep up the good English skills. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to ask Panos now, when they're studying in these type of degrees, do students or can students have some work experience, work placement, studying some of these courses?
Yes, the answer is yes. And I can speak from Macquarie, but I also know that this is across the Australian higher education sector, that work integrated learning comes in different shapes and durations in different universities. For Macquarie in particular, we have our PACE program, which is essentially a program that every student in the arts, humanities, social science, but also across the whole of the university must complete. And that gives them at least a minimum of one unit of study that is dedicated to work integrated learning, either through an internship with a particular organization or through a project. Having said that, in particular for the BA, because we spent 2 years to totally revamp that course, the idea here is that they start very early on, from day one. When we welcome the students in the degree, we expose them to what is called widely employability or career type of skills. And I'm sure that all the orientations in the universities, they do that. And the students, they are able, through the flexibility that the degree offers, to pick more than one opportunities for work integrated learning. But at Macquarie, everybody needs to graduate with at least one unit of study that's been dedicated to that.
I'm going to go to you, Linda, because we're talking bespoke sort of courses within the social sciences, and we talked the ancient history. If a student did ancient history, can they go and do these digs in Egypt?
Oh, most definitely, yes. Of course, COVID's made a little bit of a dent in that, but yes, certainly in general with our PACE program at Macquarie, many students have had the opportunity in the past to travel and work overseas. And in the world of ancient history, yes, students regularly have joined our digs in places like Egypt, but also Greece. Israel has been very, very popular in the past. So, and I know that the students that have these experiences, it's transforming for them. They learn so much about themselves, being away from home, but working in a team, working with the group on site, doing an excavation and so on. They learn a lot about project management as well. It's a fantastic opportunity for them. So yes, so even through ancient history, you can actually have a workplace experience. And we also focus a lot on cultural heritage. And so students are able to actually do work in Australia. They don't have to just go overseas. And they work with local historical societies, local museums, and they get very similar experiences but on Australian soil as well. So it offers both domestic and international opportunities. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Christina at UTS, similar thing I would expect from you, but could you tell us about what happens at your university in terms of work placement?
Yeah, sure. We have a unit at the end of our degree, which is a professional placement, where we send you off to a workplace for the semester. And we've co-designed a social research project with that organisation. And it's really to showcase your skills and knowledge that you've gained throughout your degree. A lot of our students say that because social sciences sometimes is a little bit abstract, and it's hard for the students to get a grasp of what tangible skills they have. But when we send them out on placement, sometimes it clicks for them. I often hear students saying, now I know what skills I have because someone asked me to do a policy review or a literature review, and I knew how to do that. And in fact, I knew how to do it better than most of the people in the workplace. And a lot of our students do end up finding both paid work and also volunteer opportunities from those placements. And it's really, for us, it's a pathway from university to the workforce.
And I think one thing you said there was really important. Students go through their degree and they know they're learning all of these things, but they sometimes don't have that confidence to know exactly what skills they've got. So placement is a fantastic opportunity for them to really, I think, gather that confidence. Hamish, I'm going to ask you about placements from your university because, you're not in Sydney. You're in a smaller town, although Newcastle is quite large these days. But do your students have the same opportunities that students would say from, Sydney or Macquarie or UTS?
Look, it's interesting, isn't it? We were talking about passion earlier. One of the things that crossed my mind is students. Some students know what they want to do when they first come to university, but a lot don't. Or sometimes they will experience a transition from one passion to another and discover something they weren't aware of. So for me, the whole work integrated learning process is an extension of this, because of course it involves project management, as we said, but also a level of initiative perhaps, which is quite particular to the workplace and time management. So in terms of your question, yes, luckily we're only 2 hours away from Sydney, but it does occasionally involve an additional logistical challenge. Happily, we have lots of industry contacts. So, for example, in the loose area of communication that is sometimes called creative industries, we've got a lot of contacts in the film and media industries in terms of sending people out on shoots, but also to film festivals and those kinds of things. So my own area is studying film history and theory. So that would be more my connection, I guess we could say. But we've recently set up something called the Everyday Laboratory, which is supposed to, again, disavow people of the idea that the Bachelor of Arts in Social Science are sort of purely academic disciplines. Keeping in mind, of course, that universities themselves are a workplace. And so, one possible pathway is into the academic life, but it's only one. So, for example, recently we rejigged our honours program in the BA to not just feature a thesis, but also have a creative project and a work integrated learning project as 3 alternatives to sort of acknowledge the diverse pathways and interests that students really have these days. So the Everyday Laboratory features things specific to Newcastle, like, for example, work with the Newcastle Writers Festival and the This Is Not Art Festival and events surrounding that. Local filmmaking initiatives, and we've also got a very large new criminology program, which is setting up a collaborative project with one of the universities called the Innocence Initiative, which is again a very workplace-oriented kind of process of on-the-ground work with clients in a proper, I guess we'd say, industrial setting. So yes, there are occasionally challenges with not being in Sydney or Melbourne, but our students are quite mobile. We of course have visits associated with the languages as well, so you can go to France and Japan and study those languages. So I think we do pretty well.
Fantastic. So the students will have opportunity not just to have that work experience onshore, but offshore as well.
Yes. Once COVID is dealt with. For sure.
Of course, once COVID goes. So challenges all round. But of course, as we can see, our universities are really getting our students job ready. What I want to ask you now is, and I'm going to go around to each panelist. I'm going to start with Christina and just ask, can you tell us something about your uni, the offerings at your university, which I think you've touched on, but some key takeaways that students and parents may want to consider if they're thinking about a social science or arts degree?
Sure. Okay. Well, at UTS, there is a model of learning that combines theory and practice, and that's something that runs across all the degrees at UTS. And in our social sciences major, we have actually embedded that in the way we've structured all of our units. And so although there is, well, I guess there's the mixture of theory, history, and practice in each of our units. So the students get a taste of what it's like to implement, whatever theory or history they've been studying through doing something like a life history interview, for example, or a resident survey of their local suburb, or a policy review of a particular issue. So we really try and combine the theory and practice in a very solid way in all of our units. And I guess that's something that we feel is making things real for the students.
Fantastic, thank you. I'm going to move on to Macquarie. Linda?
In terms of highlights, I suppose with our Bachelor of Arts degree, I would say very similar to Kelly, Christina, that our focus on transferable skills. I think this is, and as Panos mentioned earlier, right from day one, this emphasis on basically preparing students for their future, for life beyond their degree, giving them the knowledge, the ability to learn new skills, to improve the skills that they already have, to improve their knowledge in general, but also to encourage them to self-discovery as well. So I think we have a degree that enables, that's very well structured. It gives the students a lot of confidence about where they're going in life.
Did you want to add anything to that, Panos?
Yeah, no, I'll just want to add that the philosophy is very much that the degree should have a very good foundation, get the students to understand what is the core business of the degree. Social scientists, they bring the particular lenses, a particular perspective in how they see the world, how they apply principles and theories. Humanities students, the same. Media students, the same. So we try to give them, whatever they do, media and communication, social science, archaeology, history, music, all of them, give them this foundational knowledge, then allow them a specific space, and that's pretty much what Hamish was saying and all the other, to explore, discover, change your mind, play a bit with your passion, but then at the end, we will guarantee through the pace and through an interdisciplinary capstone that you will be funneled into your next step, whether this is further study, whether it is an employment, or if it is any other passion you might want to follow. And I think this is a model that provides the humanities degrees, that they are essentially traditionally been very generic, and people, they say, well, what are you going to do? That we need to provide the students with the competence and the ability to have a narrative about their futures. So that's what the new BA is trying to do, and that's what we try to do with all the other degrees. Thank you.
Hamish.
Yeah. As I'm sure everyone's aware, a few years ago there was a lot of talk about the crisis of the humanities, and to some extent the social sciences. And what was interesting during that period is that at the same time as we heard governments and naysayers kind of start to doubt the worth of these degrees, we saw captains of industry and dare I say it, capitalists come to our defence and actually say that in the 21st century, we don't need employees that are robots, figuratively or literally. We need employees that are critical, creative, lateral thinkers. And the kinds of tools that are required are exactly the kind of cornerstone of these degrees. So we've got interesting, perhaps slightly unfamiliar allies, I think, in the business world now, because they recognise that in a first world country, it's no longer good enough just to have a very basic level of training to do one thing. So with that in mind, a few years ago here at the University of Newcastle, we took a fairly radical sort of reform, I guess we could say, process to our BA, and we decided to make it rather more focused. So we brought in 3 core courses so that students and parents and counsellors could sort of look at the core skills that we claim to offer. And then we've got a fairly focused suite of majors, of sort of around 14 majors now, including languages. So I think it's a combination of a traditional degree here and a 21st century focused degree that sort of, you know, it provides that toolbox, but it's a relatively focused one, I guess we could say. The Bachelor of Social Science, by its very nature, tends to be a little bit more focused as well, but the 2 degrees are operating, I think, now in a very updated sense.
Fantastic. And Kelly?
It's interesting to hear everybody talk about this. We've also at Sydney done, a recent complete overhaul of our Bachelor of Arts program, and I'll talk. We've now got something called a Bachelor of Arts, which you can combine with a Bachelor of Advanced Studies, which turns the 3-year Bachelor of Arts into a 4-year degree. And we really thought about 3 things. We thought about depth of disciplinary study, and it's about really kind of focusing in on an area and doing a lot of senior study, all the junior, all the way through to a large amount of senior study. We thought about breadth and getting, lots of choice and lots of opportunity for to learn new things and really different things. And then we thought about interdisciplinarity and the fact that having deep knowledge in your discipline, you actually need to know what it is that ancient history, brings to the world as a discipline and how it acts on the world in relation to sort of big world problems and social issues. And so for that, we've got in our Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Advanced Studies, you do a major, and like I said, we've got 45 majors, more than that you can choose from in our program. And then you also do a second major, which can be out of the 100 and something across the whole university in science or business, or another one in arts. You do something called OLEs. We've got a series of open learning environments. We've got hundreds of little kind of taster units on things like impoliteness in society, critical thinking, but also sort of learning an Aboriginal language, things that are, as academics, we can put up units that are very specific to our research areas for students to do. And then every single major has an interdisciplinary component to it, which, like we've been hearing from other universities, is a partnership with an industry or community organisation to work on a real world problem in interdisciplinary teams of students. And then in our 4th year, students have the option to do either advanced coursework, which is to look specifically about how their discipline interacts with the world and do a much larger industry and community project, or they can do an honours degree if they're more interested in doing their own bespoke research. And so, yeah, our program really does think about what it means to have deep discipline knowledge in an area that you're interested in, but also have breadth of study, and then be able to use that disciplinary knowledge to work in interdisciplinary spaces, which I think are the skills that, like colleagues have said, workplace and industry and community really need in order to solve some of the issues that we have in society.
Thank you very much for that. I would have to say that today's chat around social sciences and arts degrees has been really, really interesting. It's really told us that, students can certainly study a wide variety of different humanities subjects and really be getting very or acquiring those skills and that knowledge to be able to go out into the workplace and really contribute to almost anything that they'd like to do. I want to thank all of our panelists that have been with us today. I've really appreciated your time, and I'm sure that our students and parents who are listening in have certainly, gathered a lot of knowledge. Another thing that I would like to say to our audience is please go to our university open days, talk to people like we have on our panel today, and really get more information about each and every institution that they're interested in, because, this is another way for you to, of course, do that research and get more understanding of what's on offer at each university. Once again, thank you very much for attending our session today. I hope that you log in to any of our other webinars that we have throughout this year. And please, once again, thank you to all of our panelists that are here with us today.
UAC represents many institutions across New South Wales and the ACT. The universities featured in today's webinar are a small selection of the many institutions which offer the courses discussed today. Students should research all university offerings so they can make informed decisions regarding their future study.